Today I fucked up by almost dying because I'm a big tough, stupid guy who doesn't need to see a doctor because of some stomachache. Happened 2 weeks ago, been in the hospital for 6 days and still recovering. It all started on Thursday with a sharp pain in my stomach. At first, I didn't think too much of it, maybe it was just something I ate. So I ignored it. The next day, my stomach still kinda hurt, however, not bad enough to skip work because of it. I have a pretty high pain tolerance and at this point it was pretty annoying and unpleasant, but I wouldn't say super painful. Whatever. If it doesn't get better by Monday, I'll go see a doctor. I kept telling myself. Then the pain got worse, to a point where I couldn't properly sleep during the night. First, I considered just waiting a bit more since the pain was still tolerable, and I didn't want to waste my weekend sitting in the hospital for several hours just to be told that it was a stomachache, but a friend of mine urged me to go. So I went to the hospital, but since I don't have a car, I walked there. It's only 2 miles after all. The pain was getting worse and once I finally got a chance to see the doctor it didn't take long for him to realize what was wrong. You probably already guessed it, it was the appendix. I was told that they have to remove it immediately and that I'll get sent to the operating room as soon as possible. Well, as it turns out, by the time I finally ignored my pride and went to the hospital, the appendix already ruptured. So instead of having a relatively standard appendicitis, I was now the proud owner of a fully fledged peritonitis and was rushed to the operating room shortly after. I woke up several hours later and despite being under strong painkillers, I was still in extreme pain. And when I say extreme pain, I mean that I didn't even know you could feel so much pain. It was that fucking painful. It felt like a chunk of glowing red hot metal was stuck in my stomach. So, operating room again. Apparently the inflammation spread further than anticipated and in addition to that, a 3-inch purulent hematoma formed that was causing the pain. When I woke up the pain was still there, but it was tolerable again. Doctors told me that it was a pretty close call and that I got lucky and that if I had stuck with my original plan to wait until Monday, things would have turned out different. It's been almost 2 weeks since the 2 operations and I still feel super weak. I'm tired all the time, I'm not allowed to lift anything heavier than 10 pounds, moving around and standing up still hurts pretty bad and I'm terrified of sneezing. But it's getting better. Definitely learned my lesson and from now on I'm not going to ignore any symptoms anymore. Too long didn't read, ignored stomach pains, walked around with a ruptured appendix, suffered from a severe peritonitis and now have the strength of a 3-year-old with the energy of 105-year-old man. Would you kindly describe what your stomachache felt like leading up to you going to the doctor? I've had sharp pains before that I thought might be my appendix and I waited on it. Luckily each time it turned out to be gas lol. Sure. Like I mentioned earlier, I have a pretty high pain tolerance so when the pain originally started around the middle of the abdomen, I thought I just ate some spoiled food by accident. It wasn't really a permanent pain though, it felt more like it was, for lack of a better word, pulsating. I was sitting at work feeling next to nothing, then I moved my upper body slightly around or stood up and suddenly it felt like I was being stabbed, only for the pain to go away again once I sat down. Eventually though the pain moved from the middle of the abdomen down to the lower right and now it was permanent, to a point where I couldn't sleep. I've learned that there are 2 ways to figure out if it's the appendix or not. The first is to lay down on your back and trying to lift your right leg and check if it's painful. The other way is called Dravsing's sign. You firmly press onto the left side of your abdomen and then quickly let go. If you feel a sharp pain on your right side, then it's a sign of appendicitis and you should probably see a doctor. Literally only had to read the title and thought appendix, shit son you're lucky AF to be alive, hope you're feeling better soon. My brother didn't go to the doctor when he was having stomach pains after a fender bender. He died in his bed of a gastric rupture at 30. If something feels wrong, something is wrong. Go see a doctor people. I had almost the same story. 3 years ago I felt pain for more than 4 months in my bones, in my arms and legs, couldn't move them not even an inch. Ignore my mom telling me I should see a doctor, I thought I could just walk it off, Long story short, the doctor told me I have leukemia. Is unable to even move an inch because of intense pain in bones for 4 entire months. It's okay, I'll walk it off. Gotta love how stubborn humans can be sometimes. Just an FYI, a typical red flag that something may be very wrong is if you have pain that causes you to not be able to sleep. There are certainly injuries that can cause difficulty sleeping, like back pain or neck pain, but usually this is a known symptom that does not come in very quickly. If you suddenly feel sick and have visceral pain that is keeping you awake all night, get that checked out. Especially if accompanied by fever or sweats, chills. Today I fucked up by catching a mouse twice, upset my cat and girlfriend, and the mouse is still running around my house. I live out in the country, and it's been ridiculously cold here the last few days, so the local rodents are doing their best to get in and find someplace warm to stay. I ended up with a mouse running around the house, which is annoying as we've got 3 lazy freeloading cats whose only job, besides being cute, is to keep mice out of the house. They have, thus far, failed dismally. We set out some no-kill mouse traps a few days ago, and overnight last night we catch the little bugger. My 11-year-old daughter immediately falls in love with it and offers to release it on the other end of the property after she does her chores. She sets the mouse trap down on the counter and we both split off to do our own jobs. Somehow, the mouse gets out of the trap. Not sure how, but we get back after about 30 minutes and the trap is empty. Later in the day, one of the cats is spending an unusual amount of time in the bathroom, sniffing around the base of one of the cabinets. Because the cat, his name is Boots, is a lazy good-for-nothing house cat with a long and storied history of being kind of dumb, I just assume he's seen a greeble and proceed to pay no attention to him. After a frankly embarrassing amount of time, I finally realize I'm as thick as week old pudding and connect the cat acting odd and the missing mouse. I go in the bathroom and tilt the cabinet forwards. Boots, who, I should add, has never seen a mouse in his life, instantly dives behind it. A short tussle ensues, and about 3 seconds pass before he comes strolling out from behind the cabinet with the mouse clamped in his jaws. The 11-year-old, who is still in love with this mouse, darts into action and pries the wriggling mouse away from the cat. The mouse was fine, no injuries, no blood. As far as I could tell, it was in perfect health. She carries it across the house to the front door, right past my bemused girlfriend, and I take the mouse by its tail while my daughter puts her shoes on. As I regale my girlfriend with the deeds of Mr. Boots, here he comes strutting across the house, and it was, unmistakably, a strut. The first thing that I think is, this would make a great picture. I, in my infinite wisdom, proceed to tell my girlfriend to get her camera opened while I reach down to pick up Boots. It's the perfect moment to commemorate the lazy, good-for-nothing cat, who spends his days eating, sleeping, and thinking up new and interesting places in the house to hide his poop, has actually done something productive and downright impressive. I prepare to pose for the picture, with the mouse dangling by its tail in one hand and cat tucked under my other arm. I smile, my girlfriend raises the camera, and in that moment it all falls apart. The cat spots the mouse dangling not a foot from its face. The world comes to a grinding halt. The stage is set for a storm of perfect circumstance. It was in this moment that I realized I'd fucked up and outplayed myself. In slow motion, I watch Boots freeze. His eyes dilate straight to hunter mode. I see the wheels turning in his head. His paw pulls back. With every modicum of strength his little body possesses, he reaches out and smacks the dangling, wriggling mouse. It yanks free of my fingers and arcs directly at my girlfriend's face. The mouse crosses the distance in the time it took my girlfriend's face to contort in fear. It hit her squarely on the chin, and before she had time to do anything but gasp, the mouse performed an impressive feat of parkour, launching itself into the air and across the kitchen counter. I watch it disappear on the other side of the counter, and before I had time to run around it, the mouse had vanished as completely as if he never existed. So here I am, outsmarted by a mouse twice in one day. My daughter thinks the whole situation is hilarious. I agree with her. Boots is pissed at me because I let his dinner get taken away from him. I see his point. My girlfriend is furious that I threw a mouse at her and she says it's all my fault that it escaped. She's not wrong. although I'm apparently an ass for blaming the cat, and I still have a mouse in the house. TL, drive, caught a mouse twice in one day, it got away twice, and now my cat and my girlfriend are both pissed at me and I still have a mouse in my house. With every modicum of strength his little body possesses, he reaches out and smacks the dangling, wriggling mouse. It yanks free of my fingers and arcs directly at my girlfriend's face. Following the accepted logic that cats are assholes, Boots knew exactly what he was doing. He saw his chance to punish you for your transgressions, lined up his shot and sealed your place on the couch tonight. Don't release the mouse on your property, he'll just come back in. Make sure to drop it off at least 1 mile from your home, or just kill it. That was really funny. You have a way with words, if not mice. If you have one mouse in the house, you have more than one mouse in the house. Okay, this made me feel uncomfortable, damn. You created a smart mouse. I've done battle with mice in the desert and in the mountains. They learn from their mistakes and the deaths of a comrade. You won't catch it in a no-kill trap again. Your cat may, but the mouse will avoid it like the plague, which is transmitted through fleas on wild rodents BTW, and still exists in nature. Colorado has had some cases in the past few years. It's really not great to hold wild animals, even just a mouse. I find my dogs are better mousers than any cat I've ever had. One of dogs has over 20 kills I know of under her belt. This mouse is going to breed and teach its offspring about the traps it's already aware of. If you start setting kill traps as you pick them off, the others will learn of the danger. My husband used to get paid to do this thing called a home seal to keep rodents out. You basically examine your exterior for any possible point of entry and seal it. If it's a big gap, shove some steel wool in and hit it with silicone caulking. They won't chew through that. They only need a 1/4 inch gap to enter your home. It's the only way to directly deal with a growing infestation. I hope you only have the one mouse, but they are social and breed really fast, so you may think I'm joking, but I'm really not. Today I fucked up by ghosting a girl from Tinder and not listening to Reddit. A week ago, I made a post on r/Tinder asking if it's ever okay to ghost someone. I did not follow anyone's advice, which has resulted in a threat to my life and a police investigation. Back to the context. Is it ever okay to ghost someone? I had a second date with a woman who is a few years older than me and went over to her house for dinner a week ago. She gave off some intense vibes when we met in person at my flat the first date, but, lockdown being lockdown, I was willing to give it a second shot. Upon arriving to her house, we had drinks. Then, she gave me a house tour. All is normal. However, the final room to be shown was a shrine for the Spice Girls. It was impressive how dedicated it was, and, at the same time, terrifying. The shrine was the second largest room in the house. When you walked into the shrine, you were greeted with a musky scent reminiscent of an antique store. Chumley wouldn't have had to call in an expert for appraisal because this girl was the expert. Every relic was, without a doubt, authentic. This room was littered with mannequins dressed in apparel from various concerts from their rise to fame. Items ranging from a scarf that Mel B had worn to an exclusive event to a pair of socks that Jerry threw into a crowd. None of it washed in over a decade to preserve the authenticity of these sacred relics. By this point, I was 4 Negronis in and absolutely bottled. I decided to stay for dinner. This proved to be the right move, so it seemed. She cooked an incredible meal starting with scallops on a half shell concluding with steak cooked medium raw. At the end of the night, we hooked up. However, it's a Tinder date, and the second date no less, where I was inundated with the spice, and frankly, I was lucky to make it home the next day. I was not interested in ever seeing this person again. 2 days later, I posted on r/Tinder asking if it's ever okay to ghost someone. Some interesting discourse resulted in the overwhelming majority of Redditors saying to just message her, but I didn't heed this advice. I ghosted this girl for 5 days in part due to work and university and also because she was a mentalist. She texted me, and as time waned on, the messages became more and more hostile, which furthered my position to ghost. 2 days ago, someone rang my doorbell 6 times. I was in the middle of a ranked Apex Legends match. top 3 no less, so the visitor can wait. Once I found a spot for safety, I looked through the camera, and it appeared to be a delivery driver, or someone I didn't recognize, and I didn't buzz them in. A neighbor graciously let him up. Man then knocks on my door. I open it, and expected a mailman or delivery driver to greet me with a kind smile and a parcel. Instead, I'm greeted by a deranged lunatic. Do you know who the fuck I am? You can't treat my daughter like this. I came here to stab you. You need to contact my daughter, or I will come back and stab you multiple times. I will wait outside your flat and stab you to death. When you are least expecting it, I will be waiting for you. I had my hand on the 9-iron by the door, but somehow managed to de-escalate the situation, knowing full well this was the quickest way back to the Apex match without her dad pulling a bloodhound finishing move on my ass. I returned to the Apex match, with 2 furious squad mates, and broke down what the hell just happened. I called the cops, and they open an investigation into it, collecting all kinds of information. They tell me to notify this girl that I have contacted the police to dissuade her dad from coming back. Yesterday, officers came to my place for questioning. They pulled CCTV footage of this guy coming in and audio from my bell outside my door. My neighbor is acting as a witness because she heard the whole situation. He may be getting charged for trespassing and intent to harm. This girl then messaged me something incredibly foul yesterday. I have half a mind to respond the sex wasn't even that good. But again, I'd prefer not to be stabbed. Please be safe out there. Some crazy fuckers on these apps have deleted them all and taking a long hiatus. Too long didn't read, ghosted a girl from Tinder after 2 dates. She gave her dad my address. He came over to my flat on Sunday and threatened to turn me into a ghost. Contacted the police, and he will likely be charged. Too long didn't read, of too long didn't read, don't ghost people. Update. I checked my phone, and when I was blasted, I managed to take a picture of part of the shrine. I have emails with my landlord and the police report, but I worry this will give my identity away. We also got 2nd place. But positive RP.